Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. So today we have a very important one. This is not just an update to the Shenmue 3 story, it also indicates a new policy change from Epic Games, one that clearly will impact us as we move into the future, so it is worth covering this in full detail. Now, to get you up to speed, what is the deal with the Shenmue 3 situation? Well, Shenmue 3 was a crowd-funded game, and while initially it did not mention specific PC platforms, they did later go on to mention Steam keys as delivery. Of course, more recently, they signed up with Deep Silver as a publisher. They're a subsidiary of Koch Media, so there's similar things going on there with what we saw with, say, Metro Exodus. But anyway, that happened, and then, of course, very recently, the game was announced as an Epic Games Store exclusive, which of course does mean no Steam keys for a year. Now, given that Shenmue is a franchise that has not had an installment in pretty much 20 years, people really want this game, and having it on PC is very exciting. But of course, it's obviously not ideal with this Epic situation, and that really did anger a lot of its backers. Now, originally, no refunds were going to be offered by YSNet, and when Kickstarter was pressured, Kickstarter essentially said, look, our policies are very clear, we don't do the refunds, you'll have to go to them. And then of course they just outlined the usual responsibilities of somebody who makes a Kickstarter and at what point people who are backers can actually, sort of pursue legal action if they wish to. But of course, legal action would not really be massively ideal, and that a large class action lawsuit would probably take quite a lot of time and not really make that much progress. Now, when this story was last left off, we got a very interesting update from the Shenmue team. They said this: we want to make sure that backers are aware that we are listening to their concerns. We kindly ask our fans to have some patience. We are currently at E3 demoing the game and need to get back to our respective offices to assess the situation together and find a way forward to justify the trust you placed in us. So essentially they were saying, look, we're at E3, we can't really do all the decision making right now, give us a bit of time. Now that was on the 14th of June, so quite some time has passed, but we finally do have an update from the team. Now this is an update that actually comes in two parts, because we did hear from YSNet through a Kickstarter update, but then we've also seen tweets from Tim Sweeney, of course the CEO of Epic Games, and those tweets are very, very important indeed. So, YSNet said, regarding the recently announced Epic Games exclusive, all of us here at YSNet, Deep Silver, and Epic are taking the matter with utmost concern and would like to clarify the circumstances leading to the decision and offer backers clarity or options moving forward. They said that as noted in their updates after launch, they had initially planned for PC on Steam, and that taking publishing and sales considerations into account, YSNet and Deep Silver agreed with the partnership with Epic Games on PC. They said that as a publishing partner, Deep Silver has contributed greatly to not only sales and marketing, but also scaling up the game so that there is more of Shenmue 3 as a project, and that also Epic Games have been with us from the start of the project because of course they adopted the Unreal 4 engine for development, and that Epic have supported them through the development process. They said that in response to backers who have requested Steam keys, they discussed offering keys on the day of release, so giving people Steam keys on the release date, but the game of course still being an Epic Games Store exclusive. However, they said that coordination with the sales policies of the involved companies was untenable, and as a result, they are not able to give day one distribution of Steam keys. Now, this is something that's quite important, and we're going to put a pin in that for later because it does tie into Steam's policy and allegations, or just words that Tim Sweeney has said before. They go on to say this: that we are not able to offer Steam keys for Kickstarter rewards at the time of the game's release is a great disappointment and inconvenience for those backers who are expecting to receive them. We deeply apologize for the unrest caused by the announcement, and they go on to say that they will be issuing refunds for users who request them, and then they outline the game's distribution. And all that you really need to know is that the PC physical package will contain a game disc, but that game disc will just be an Epic Games Store installer, which will not have game data, and then of course the PC digital version will just be an Epic Games Store key. So that's essentially the main bulk of the situation from a consumer's perspective. If you want a refund because of this issue, you will receive a refund and you will get a Steam key. It will just be 1 year after the game's launch because that's when the Epic Games Store exclusivity runs out. However, we do have a very important update because of what Tim Sweeney has only just said, maybe about 12 hours ago. So here we go, here's Tim's tweet. Epic is funding the cost of all Kickstarter refunds resulting from Shenmue 3's move to the Epic Store so that refunds will not reduce YSNet's development funding. So yes, Epic Games are covering the cost of all of the refunds, which certainly is a pretty good thing, but I think what matters a little bit more is that he goes on to basically outline this as a policy, saying when future games go Epic exclusive after offering crowdfunding rewards on other PC stores, we'll either coordinate with colleagues at other stores to ensure key availability in advance or guarantee refunds at announcement time. So there you go. Essentially, there'll never be a crowdfunding situation where people will not get Steam keys because of the Epic Store, and there'll never be a situation like that where you do not, at the very minimum, get a refund. So this really does leave us with a lot to break down. The first thing is, did Epic do this for previous crowdfunded projects, like say Phoenix Point, where again a lot of fans, a lot of backers were not happy with that situation and did actually get refunds. However, the Phoenix Point developers were actually pretty bullish in saying that, listen, sure, go for the refunds, but just the cash advance that we've got from Epic is large to the point where it doesn't really put a dent in our bottom line. Whereas here, it doesn't seem to be from any cash advance that Epic gave to YSNet. This seems to be just fresh money given by Epic to sort of shore up these refunds. So that's an interesting little bit as we sort of move into the past. Now, this entire situation where, if you look here, the Shenmue developers say that basically after talking in response to, however, coordination with the sales policies of the involved companies was untenable, and as a result, they can't make it. That's really quite relevant because it ties into how Steam actually works. So Steam is actually very good with how they deal with Steam keys. For an example, if you are a developer and you're selling your game on Steam, you can generate Steam keys and you can then sell them on your own website and keep 100% of the money from that, and you can still have your users activate the game on Steam. That really is quite a great thing that Steam do, that they do not need to do. Now, of course, there is a bit of a caveat there. You can only do that if your game is available for general sale on Steam. Now, in the past, Tim Sweeney had said on his tweets that Epic Games would be more than happy to cover the 30% fee, i.e. the Steam cut, of games if they could just say give Steam copies even with an Epic exclusive, pretty much saying, look Steam, you distribute the game as normal, it won't be going for general sale on your store, but we will give you your cut for those copies from crowdfunding. Now, Steam, of course, said no to that, as we clearly see from this Shenmue situation, and Tim had essentially insinuated that that is Steam essentially locking in Kickstarters, but he did say that he understands why Steam would take an all-or-nothing approach there, and frankly, I think it's fair enough for Steam to take an all-or-nothing approach. I think what Tim would have been wanting there, being realistic, is a bit of a have your cake and eat it situation. So overall with this situation, I'd say this. Epic did the right thing. They probably didn't need to do this. They could have got themselves in a lot of hot water if they didn't, or maybe YSNet. I'll say that what I think they did is the bare minimum. They caused this problem, and this is clearly the only solution that would actually work. Now, it's not a great solution, it's just people getting their money back. They're still not getting the product that they clearly put a lot of, a lot of time and emotional energy into supporting, so it's by no means an ideal situation. But it is the bare minimum. And I think what matters a little bit more is that, as you see in Tim Sweeney's second tweet here, this is a new Epic Games policy. This is a policy that will be moving, that they'll be moving forward with. And the way that he says this, it's not just a one-off thing to, tide things over for this one project. It's a new policy. That means that they probably do intend to continue with crowdfunded projects, even if it is late in the day and it disrupts already promised plans for distribution. So they're certainly happy to continue to be disruptive, but at least they are going to be ensuring that people do get refunds if their disruption is enough that a user feels like a refund is really their only option left. So it still is an unfortunate situation for what I'm just going to call industry chaos and discord. It is, I suppose, a positive development in that people will get their money back which is of course what they should get when they're not getting the product as described, so that is a good thing. But as always for me, it just comes down to that matter of perspectives that we talked about on yesterday's video between the two stores, and essentially what's going on there, which I do think is overall a rather unfortunate situation. I don't like this chaos and disharmony within the industry. I think it's really quite bad for discourse, and I hope we are over with it as soon as is possible, because I do not like it. But there you go, that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think about this topic and the Epic Store moving forward down in the comments below, and with that, I'll see you next time.